So let's talk about the inspiration for starting SEOSLY. And I mean, you worked in the industry for 10 plus years and you had all this knowledge building up. And I feel like maybe like many of us, you were like, I just want to get it out. Like no one else is saying it. But any other big inspiration to start the blog and really the whole platform, which we'll describe
Uh-huh.
in a second. But yeah, what's the origin story?
Okay, so around 2010 or so, I heard about earning money online, AdSense. These were the times, maybe even earlier, that it was easy to earn money off ads. And there was this program called Site Build It, and they were teaching you step by step how to create a site, monetize it. Very, very thorough, very nice. And I created a couple of sites this way and started earning money of them. It wasn't like huge money, but it was enough for me to understand that this process works and it is possible. And I learned SEO, even though I didn't know it was SEO at the time. And then I graduated from university, and I had a choice either to be English translator or to do something else. And I knew already that I don't want to be a translator. So I started applying for jobs and I got an SEO job as a junior. And my knowledge was enough for me to get that job. And I was working there. I wasn't earning a lot of money, very little money if we think about it today, very little. I was building those websites. They weren't super successful still. At some point, some maybe took off. But I decided to follow that path of being at the agency and learning as much as I can. So I kept learning, learning, learning. And then I think pandemic came, and I was already like 7+ years into that. And then I thought, why am I creating those sites about all those weird things when I can create the site about SEO, which is something I think I love the most? So I registered the domain and started simply sharing the things I do at work, some things I learned. And it took off, even though it was 2020. I started in August 2020, so it is almost 4 years ago. And I think around December, I think Aleida Solis or Brody Clark or both of them, they found in Google some of the articles I wrote because they were very in depth with all the screenshots, all the SEO optimizations, keyword research based, of course. And they started to rank basically after like a couple of months. No sandbox in this case. And they shared it on Twitter. Twitter was very powerful back then. And then a lot of people started to notice me, and the snowball effect happened. And I think a year later, actually, I had a small following. I started newsletter, and it was slowly growing. I still had a job, but I kept building SEO Fly. Then I got offer at a US based lawyer SEO agency. They offered me a lot more money than I had at the Polish agency, so I switched there. But I already knew that mm, I am not an employee and I have to end up as an independent SEO consultant. So I kept doing SEO Sly. Then I created, I think in 2022, I created YouTube, podcast. And in 2022, from what I remember, I decided to give up that job. I had just one client, but I said, fuck it. I want to be a free person. I am giving it up. We'll see what happens. If I don't have any clients, I will have all the time in the world to simply do the blog. But I think in 60 days, I was able to double the amount of money I had at the agency. Then I landed a couple of other clients. And this is what has been happening up until now. The issue now is that I am super busy. As I mentioned, I have the wait list and I cannot really take more clients. And I don't want to grow into an agency. I don't want to hire people, manage people. This is definitely not something I want to do. I'm a free person. I want to travel. I want to take months off if I want to. So I'm now doing client work in this kind of boutique SEO agency type of style. But now my goal is to spend 50% of my time still growing SEOSLY. That's why I created SEOSLY Pro, to get more passive income. I already have a lot of sponsors of my SEO newsletter, so it also allowed me to get some kind of passive income. And the course is another thing, because with clients I can only do as much. I can only work on 5, 6, maybe 10 websites a month, not more, without sacrificing the quality. And that allows me to spread my wings, do experiments, and get paid for that. So my goal for I think 2025 is to just have 2 3 my top favorite beloved clients, and do them because I love them, and spend all the other time simply experimenting, sharing, doing courses, YouTube, because I simply love it. I think this is my favorite part of SEO because it gives me so much freedom, and I think you understand me perfectly in that.
Yeah. When did you and I connect? Do you remember? Was it 2021?
I think, yeah, I think so. I think Lisa, your former student, I think she connected me with you. So around that time, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely,
Yeah.
I still had a job, I remember.
Right. Yeah, and I remember we would have you were on my other show, the Doug show, a few times, and I think after we recorded, you were like, like I want to get away from the 9 to 5 and just do other stuff and have a little more
Yeah,
freedom. So I get it. Well, let's talk about the overall platform. I'll just like repeat it to make sure I understand everything.
sure.
So you have the blog, you have Twitter, which you did, like you said, you got a pretty good following there. You have the newsletter, which is
Yeah.
pretty popular, and you have several thousand subscribers,
Yeah, I
right?
think 8,000 now.
Great. And then the podcast, you kicked that off, and the YouTube channel. So I think like you and I do the
And
same. We
SEOs like Pro, this kind of membership area as well.
Okay. And any other pieces of the platform? Do some LinkedIn.
I'm publishing more on LinkedIn than on Twitter because Twitter kind of isn't working the way it used to. So I would say Twitter, LinkedIn, SEO Slide Pro, and I have this SEOSlide.cloud version of the site, which has all those premium products, which now are the course and the SEO Slide Pro platform. So those, I think those things. I
Okay.
think it is everything. Yeah.
So people could check out the previous episode where we talked about the audit and the packages and all that stuff. One thing that is really valuable that you did a great job with is the content that you created was the perfect top end funnel so that the people that started following you would become your clients. So you cited a 6 to 8 week wait list for your $5,000 plus audit, and that's crazy, right? Because like if someone's like, okay, on average it takes you about 20 hours to do one of the audits, maybe a little bit more. You could do a couple of them per week. People could do the math. It's a decent chunk of money, and I think you're doing other work too, so you wouldn't totally fill that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you talk about how you selected the topics that you were going to cover so that it educated the potential clients? They had a connection with you, they trusted you. So basically, they would sign up and say, hey, I want you to do an audit on my site, and we're ready to pay you,
Uh huh.
$12,000 right away.
Huh. So to be honest, I was doing it the way I do it for my clients as well. I basically, when I registered the domain, I simply did like competitive analysis. I plugged in all the best known SEO websites like Search Engine Journal, those types of things. Maybe I shouldn't start with those competitors with a new site because the site was brand new, domain rating like 0. But I selected those sites and I did some filtering. I chose the keywords that were relatively not that difficult. I did a lot of filtering and then I had a list of keywords potentially to target. And I think among those keywords, the ones which I started with were search operators. So I find the keyword Google search operators. This one is pretty competitive. But then I found Bing search operators, I think Yandex search operators, and I created like the entire list of search operators articles. These were the first ones I created, and they started ranking instantly. And I think the next one was SEO audit, very competitive keyword, and how to do an SEO audit. But I decided, okay, I don't care. I will write about it and share it. I will document my entire process, and it will be a nice exercise for me to refresh my knowledge. And I think the next one was how to do an SEO audit, which was like 12K words. And this was the audit, which was then, you probably heard the story, copied, turned into a book, sold on Amazon, and printed as well. And it also gave me a lot of publicity. This kind of this situation, because I became very angry. I was tweeting and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. A shitstorm happened. So I was simply doing that the way I would do it for a client. And of course, I knew these are very highly competitive keywords. So I was also like looking for long tail keywords around audit, question keywords. And I was also writing articles about them, shorter articles. They were very fast to rank. Then I started doing videos about audits, like common questions about audits, common questions from the auditing process. In some cases, there was a video and an article. I embedded the video in the article. And for a lot of queries, I had like number 1, 2 ranking, and then there was my video. So I had more real estate in SERP. And I naturally started to gravitate towards just talking about audits. Then I naturally earned a lot of links. I didn't buy a single link to my website. I only, I think, bought 2 press releases or something like that. But other than that, people actually started to cite me. I think even Moz added a link, Ahrefs, like all those big names. They linked to me because they thought my content was good enough. Then I was invited to write a search engine journal. I was invited to a bunch of podcasts, including yours. And those leads were coming usually through YouTube, through podcasts, my podcasts, or my appearance in other podcasts. I also had a bunch of, I think, leads from your show as well, from different sources. Like I started to appear everywhere. And I think it is important, especially now when we have AI, it is way easier to repurpose the content. So I just published a very long lawyer SEO guide. I just recorded a long video, and I will record smaller guides for lawyers, lawyer SEO of specific aspects to support that one, and supporting videos, and then I will turn them into a podcast. So it is like getting one piece of content in many mediums usually gives you simply like more traffic, more real estate, and more leads at the end of the day.
And you cited something which I think a lot of people are doing more with the help of AI, maybe solely with a huge amount of help of it from AI. But you write the blog post and you have this great tutorial, which is a classic way to build your audience. Like you tell people how to do it, but it's hard and you have more expertise. So there's a good chance there's a handful of people that will pay you to do it because you've done it before. And even though you showed them how to do it, now they know how
Yeah.
hard it is, right?
Yeah.
So you repurpose the content in multiple different formats, and then you started slicing it and dicing it so you would go really deep into one area, like or a specific like avatar or user type or client type, like a lawyer, or it could be a dentist or whatever. Like
Yeah.
someone could say, "Oh, how do you do an SEO audit for an orthodontist in the US?" And it could be a little bit different, and they put their own spin on it. So, as far as like currently, or how are you using AI to help repurpose the content that maybe you've already done?
Yeah, so usually I also do interviews with other people, and now I try to have specific topics for those interviews. Like I had the interview with Martin Split from Google about JavaScript SEO. So the entire transcript, I put it into AI, into Claude AI, and I asked it to write the highlights, create a nice LinkedIn post, a Twitter post, highlighting the main findings. So social media posts are great to write with AI. I also created kind of my own list of JavaScript SEO things I want to talk about, questions I asked Martin. I fed them into, this time I think it was ChatGPT, and I asked it to write answers based on what Martin answered. And this way, I was also able to publish a very, very long guide based on the transcript and also based on some Google documentation and my own knowledge by just providing like notes, clues, not writing all of it. What AI is also nice to use for is I also started using it to create funny images for my blog posts. Like recently for lawyer SEO, a lot of scary images I created with that. The other thing is podcast notes, descriptions, of course, for YouTube videos, stuff like that, and FAQs. So FAQs are basically supplemental content. And in many cases, you can increase the word count and topical authority, topical relevance if you add to a blog post or a page a bunch of FAQs and make sure those FAQs are headings. And in those headings, you have like those variations of keywords, LSIs, entities, whatever is necessary. And ChatGPT is very, very, very good at writing those FAQs. So I can quickly optimize any page and make it more relevant with just feeding the article to ChatGPT and asking it to write FAQs.
Perfect. Well, like normal, I think I could go on and we could talk about this, and maybe we'll do a round two. We can get something scheduled. But is there any other thoughts that you have overall from, your approach? Maybe you're giving advice to someone who has, 5 or 10 years of experience, so they're actually an expert, and they're thinking, hey, I want to put out content, and I know that I need to approach it in sort of a step by step way, but you know, they're a little bit nervous because like you're 4 years in from starting the blog or so, and you made a huge amount of headway. You had some obstacles. You were working full time, and you did this on the side, and you were able to, escape from a day job and do your own thing. So yeah, any broad advice for someone who's like,
Uh-huh.
all right, I want to follow in her footsteps.
Yeah, I would say, especially now, more than ever, you have to probably show your face, your personality. You have to build your own brand because we don't know, but maybe in a few years' time, everything will be written by AI. Everything you find on Google, assuming Google is still there. And I think people will be looking for other people they can trust, and that's why I think you cannot be really hidden. 10 years ago, it was possible to have a faceless website, faceless YouTube channel, and you would rank. Now, not necessarily. So don't be afraid of showing your face in the form of YouTube videos, podcasts, not only like writing, so that people know you are a real person, and be consistent with that. This is another very important thing. 30 minutes a day. Wake up earlier, spend 30 minutes writing a blog post. And usually you will spend more because you will get into that mode, but just get started. Consistency and showing your face. Those two, I would say.
Perfect. Well, it's always a pleasure to catch up. We will link up to all the places that you're at. But is
Perfect.
there like a home base that, people should just go to find all your stuff?
I would say SEOSLY.com and SEOSLY.cloud, the two, and you will find everything that you need there.
All right. Perfect. Well, we will catch up again soon. And thanks a lot for your
Can't
time today.
wait. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye, everyone.